It all happened like I knew it would. A single drop of source magic. And, like flies to honey, the monsters swarmed. The rebel panicked. The carnage began. And the Magisters pointed their fingers at me. Just as I'd planned. I was shackled and collared, and sent to Fort Joy. I'd come here to kill Godwoken. But instead, I became part of their story.
So, it wasn't a dream after all. Oh, I don't even remember them strapping me down.
I'll need to write to headquarters right away. Ah, you're up. Yes, looks like that. There. Not too tight, I hope. The collar, I mean. Oh, not to worry. Every dog has to get used to its leash. In the meantime, your next stop will be Magister William. All passengers have to be registered in the ship's manifest, and he's the chap in charge of the logs. You'll find him on the other side of this deck, in the officers' quarters. Why? Because we're at sea, of course, and have been for several days.
Index fingers pressed to her lips, she pauses a moment to give you a scrutinizing gander.
My word, you do seem a bit befuddled, don't you? Perhaps I was a bit too generous with that sedative. Oh well, I'm sure you'll soon gather your wits. Most likely. Eventually. In the meantime, all you need to know is that we're en route to Fort Joy. A new life awaits. And if you're a particularly good boy, perhaps a cure as well. An end to Source. For good.
Good gods. There's been a murder here.
Ugly sight, isn't it? Burns me up this happened under our protection. We're extremely lucky no Voidwoken followed the source that did this. Finn didn't see it like that. He was desperate for us to help him. Two things scared the living daylights out of him. His own shadow and his own source. We'll find out who did this. Speaking of...
She looks up at you with a mirthless smile.
I was on duty in your room when the murder happened. You were asleep the whole time. Didn't even stir. You're one of the only indisputably innocent people on the ship. Unless you can commit murder in your sleep, of course. Not with that collar on, you aren't. Listen, I could use someone to keep their ears open among the passengers. Sometimes they clam up in front of a uniform. Bring me a good lead, and I'll throw in a shiny gold coin for you. How about that? Not in here, it isn't. You let me know if you hear anything. Whoever did this is dangerous.
A young Magister stands pale and silent. Her knuckles whiten around her weapon as you pass.
hatch is blocked. I'll need to find another way.
Come on, please, Losa.
Be good, you scallywags.
You look like my daddy. His name is Frida. He's waiting for me at home.
You're a human, like me. That means we're friends already. My mum told me not to make friends with lizards and elves and dwarves and stuff. But I think they're okay. Please, please, please.
Ah, there you are. Husband. Would you please tell this very charming gaggle of not-at-all brat-like babes that I am by no accounts this Losa woman, nor do I sing, in fact. I'm deathly, deathly allergical.
What's your name?
No,
Gods, didn't your mother teach you any manners?
she got eaten by a void woken.
Forget it.
Oh, they're not so bad. At least not when they're treating me, Madam Josephine Gribble de Peeve, with due deference.
The children break out into giggles.
What? What's so funny?
Her pinched face cracks into a great grin, and she shoos the children away from her with a laugh.
Yeah, okay, you found me out. Go on and git, and maybe I'll sing you something when I'm good and ready.
She turns to you, dark-eyed and dirty-haired, and smiles flatly.
Gotta keep ourselves entertained, haven't we? Like yourself, maybe. I don't mind the kiddies, usually. Nope, trying not to find anything out either. Ignorance is bliss. The utterer, the better.
Suddenly, her eyes cloud to an unnatural black. Greyish veins run down her face, and her mouth tightens into a cruel sneer. As quickly as they came, the clouds clear.
Good luck, Chief.
Unacceptable. I've never dined on anything less than a dozen-course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with the custom.
Well, there has been a murder, Your Majesty. Maybe that has the Magisters more concerned than your appetite.
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
An elf sits tucked away in a dark spot, lazily rolling dice onto the surface of a barrel. They sound like the dry cackling of an old witch.
Snake eyes.
She chuckles.
I bet that's just what they'll look like. Rolling dice, deciding fates.
She eyes you quite seriously.
Not the future, no, but I can read the past in flesh. One of the perks of being an elf, you see. I'm quite good at it, too. I could lick your arm and tell you how you spent the night before last. Shall I?
She chuckles once more.
That red-cheeked refusal tells me more than licking you would. But suit yourself, darling.
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
Don't worry, honey. It isn't yours.
She looks you up and down with the merest hint of a coy smile on her lips.
Never say never, though.
I'm busy watching for clues, sorcerer. Go take your sub-story somewhere else.
It was one of them. I know it. You put a knuckle in it. I'm trying to concentrate.
A broad dwarf sits totally upright on the bench, eyes closed, palms face up on his knee. He raises an eyebrow as you approach, but doesn't open his eyes.
Listen up, boy. You hear that?
His eyes snap open. He looks at you and frowns.
Murder? Ah, that's what they were going on and on about. I wouldn't know anything about it. I kill a man. He knows who done it. His daddy knows who done it. And the mayor knows who done it too.
His eyes flutter shut, and he assumes his position of repose once more.
Whether they catch me is another matter, but I ain't one to hide my accomplishments.
Right. I always knew you'd turn out.
The ship, of course.
A wave of sound washes over you. The unintelligible chatter of your shipmates, the groaning of wood from floor to ceiling, the boom, crash and crackle of waves around you, complaints from the sea itself.
The Inquisitor gets here, we'll hang you right over the side of this ship with it.
And?
The fellow cocks his ear, listening.
That isn't anger, it's...
He cocks his ear to the other side, then smiles.
Anticipation. She senses something. I'd hold on to my breeches if I were you, mate. That's all you hear, though. Listen close. There now, just like that. Aha!
His eyes snap open as his countenance breaks into an expression of joy. One great paw claps you on the back. The other catches you before you lose your footing.
There. You heard it, didn't you? I knew it. I knew it. Aye, this is good news, boy. Good news. Yes, I know what that means. Heading for the joy we are. And after that...
The dwarf leans back from the table and strokes his beard, gold medallions jingling merrily. His eyes roll over to you.
That'll be all. Thank you kindly, boy.
How dare you classify this slop as food? I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
There's nothing else I can make.
You one of them? A Divine Order loyal? They killed a sorcerer, you know. They'll hide the evidence well enough, but make no mistake.
Dozen-course dinner, and I don't intend to do...
Well, well. What have we here? A fresh face in this stale hell. Let's size you up, shall we? See if you'll do.
The lizard looks you up and down, like a farmer would a fetching horse. All of a sudden, he grips you firmly by the chin, with the intent of inspecting your teeth.
There's some discoloration, but I've seen worse. After all, one can't expect to find prime merchandise on a squalid little ship like this. Now then, to business. You will answer me 3 questions. The first one is this. Can you cook? Ah, music to my beleaguered stomach. On to the second question. Can you knit, weave? In short, tailor? Yes, I can tell from your vagabond chic, a bag is as good as a shirt kind of style. I shouldn't be getting my hopes up. On then to my final query. Have you the ability to administer the upkeep of one's personal appearance? The delicate art of cosmetics is what I'm after. Just as I thought. That explains what's besieging my nostrils. So, 3 questions asked, 3 questions answered. Let's evaluate, shall we? As per your own testimony, you can cook, but you have the fashion sense of a monkey in a clown suit, and your personal hygiene reminds one of a carcass rotting in the sun. That won't do at all, see? I'm sad to say I must deny you the opportunity to be my slave. Ever so sorry. I know, but you just don't have what it takes. A good slave's made of sterner stuff, I'm afraid. Still, hone your skills, and one day you may just qualify for a position in a lesser household than mine. You keep dreaming, you hear?
Surely.
I spent my life singing for my slaves to bring me my supper. Finer fare than boiled roots and rotten tubers, too. Meanwhile, the Magisters feast on honeyed meat behind this very wall. The indignity.
I always knew you'd turn out rotten, Ben Mezd. Your kind always hung closest to our divine, like wolves around a campfire.
Well, you've got this wolf on a leash.
Here to register, sir. Got you faring okay so far? I'm glad to hear it. You head on in now. Williams will get you sorted fast.
I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
And if she...
Standing at the center of the room, you spot a sorcerer haughtily eyeing a pair of nervous-looking magisters. They keep their crossbow trained upon her as she's being interrogated by an officer.
So you admit it then? You murdered that poor fella?
Yes, I did. But of course, that was only the beginning.
She turns her head and looks you straight in the eye.
There are others whose lives must end.
Good God! The woman's mad! You there, sorcerer! Go and fetch Magister Siwan! We need to do more than collar this maniac. We need to shackle her, hands and feet.
No, I'm afraid I always perform my part solo. Do stay and watch, though, because...
She reaches for her collar and simply removes it.
I'm just about to create a scene.
Subdue her, men, quickly! If she casts Source, the Voidwoken will come. They'll end us all.
She smiles with wicked satisfaction.
Precisely.
What's happened? God damn it! We need to get off this wreck, and quick! Not long before this thing snaps into splinters. Great gods! Something's pounding on the hull!
The marking on the door was painted. You press your palm against the door, it doesn't budge.
Down. That doesn't bode well. Onwards and upwards.
The moment you touch the door, the door groans open. But
I need to get off the ship. Oh no!
Children and dwarfs first, just like the old stories say.
The dwarf yanks at one of the nearby ropes to no avail.
You said there were other people down there. We need to help them.
You see those tentacles, kid? It's time for getting the hell out of here. Hear that, kid? We need to go!
But what about the ladder? It's right over there. You can go straight down.
As the boat rocks downward, a prayer to Lucian you once heard passes through your mind. The law of life from divine within saved me from death and the shackles of sin. You clench your eyes and brace for impact.
I have plans for you, child. Rise.
Honorable Dallas, we lost a ship sailing sorcerer prisoners to Fort Joy. We assume some escaped and broke their collars. Their vile magic lured the Voidwoken. All who were aboard are presumed dead. Yours faithfully into eternity, High Judge Oriven.
Those Voidwoken made short bloody work of the ship. Am I the lone survivor? This must be Fort Joy. Voidwoken. Those are the same beasts that sank our ship. Damn, they've made it to shore.
You. I know you. I know you. I know you.
Collars were supposed to keep those things at bay. Drowned and eaten by a Voidwoken. I wonder in which order.
You spot a strange lizard gazing over the water with a steady, malcontent stare. His skin is of a bright, blood-red color. Could he be... Yes, you recognize him from the ship. It would seem you're not the only one who survived the tentacles of the deep. The lizard turns about with the graceful ease of a dancer, or a duelist. You lock eyes with his, two smouldering embers that sizzle your very soul.
You're glad, are you? How very curious. For word has reached me through a very sour grapevine indeed, that you turned your back on your fellow passengers, left us to fend for ourselves. So much easier, isn't it, to look out for oneself alone? Of course I did. Takes more than some oversized cuttlefish to get the better of me. Besides, you'll find I wasn't complaining, I was making a point. About oneself. Alone. So, if there's nothing further... If you really must know, I haven't quite decided yet. I've a frightful amount of things on my mind, hence my standing here contemplating the waves.
He sighs dramatically.
Tell me, what do you see when you cast your glance over this ocean? Memories. Quite so.
He looks out over the water once more, and so do you. A few tranquil moments pass as the waves lap against your thoughts.
As for myself, when I consider this vast expanse before us, I see an empire. I see continents dotted with mighty cities. And shimmering along the soft curve of the sea's horizon, I picture the palaces that formed my paradise. Lost. Of course, it's rather specific. Quite obviously, I'm musing over the very actual empire that I lost.
Suddenly, having all the air of being deeply offended, he stares at you with utter incredulity.
Well, don't just stand there gawking like an ape at an abacus. Or do you really mean to tell me you don't know who I am? The very same. I am the Red Prince, the All-Conqueror, the World-Tamer, the Spouse of the Sun. Of course you know me.
There's a brief moment's pause, during which his grandiloquent pose deflates ever so slightly.
That said, I suppose I must own up to the fact that I find myself rather in between all-conquering and world-taming opportunities at the moment. The grandeur that is my fate has hit a bit of a snag. But never you worry. For the throne I was destined, and my throne I shall have. This and that. Tag along. Do you really mean to compare the fate of an empire to whatever foibles you seek to fix? On the other hand, I really could do with a dog's body. Even if it's the sort that leaves others to rot on a sinking ship. Fine, I accept. On one condition. For reasons I'll not disclose right now, it is imperative that I should meet with a dreamer. One of the mystics of my kind. I've reason to believe one of them may be present on this island. Jolly good. So, now that that's settled, first things first. Even if you are as versed in the art of eloquence as I am, that our swords will be doing a lot of the talking from here on out goes without saying. As a born fighter, I prefer the perfection of the blade myself. But I'm well acquainted with the secrets of magic and, yes, even subterfuge. What say you? Very well. Onwards, then, to victory or death.
The Red Prince nods and gives you a smile that wavers ever so delicately between courtesy and contempt.
Now, as you're aware, you'll be travelling with a prince. Proper forms of address include Your Majesty, Your Royal Highness, or if you're feeling particularly frivolous, My Lord. As your luck would have it, I seem to be fresh out of luggage, so you won't be required to carry my belongings. Of course, there are other forms of protocol to bear in mind, but I'll see to it you'll pick up the rest as we go. So, without further ado, let up. A black cat. A herald of wisdom in my homeland. How fortuitous.
The cat's eyes are clouded and grey, but it stares at you with acute intensity. Its eyes clear, and it shakes its head, confused.
Now where shall I put this? Hey, mister. It's a lot nicer here than that stinking boat, huh? Sure wish you'd gone back to save the others. Though, I did see one of them wringing out their tunic at the shore a few hours ago, so I guess some of them survived at least.
Father, who presideth over us all.
I don't think I ain't watching.
Greetings, child. I find myself in your so-called divine lands, yet I feel his absence deep in my heart all the same. You may feel like an inmate here, but you and your captors are the same stuff, in race and customs, if not heart. You'll see what a difference that can make. Lest the void overtake and devour us all.
Looky, looky here, mates. A fresh face. We love fresh faces, don't we? Oh, yes, we do. Why don't you join us in a round of cards? First hands on the house. Chuff to you, Chief. Here are your cards. You're up first.
You glance at your hand. 2 purple monarchs. A hard hand to beat.
Well, that was easy. Looks like you'll have to pay your interment fee after all, Freshie. See that, Freshie? Keep that up and you'll get along just fine in old Fort Joy. Now, scram. I've got another pot to win.
What are you after, Pipsqueak? Well, going around poking Griff's guard ain't the way to do it. In fact, I'd go ask him if he's got a spot for you on his team. Joining up's the best way to survive, if that's what you're after.
Huh? What are you doing here? Thought Griff had you making the rounds inside. Lucky you. See you later, Christoph.
Come on, old man. You there? I'm looking for an inmate. He wears a large bronze ring with a dragon stamped into it. Name of Migo. Have you seen him? Useless. It is a very important matter that I locate this Migo. Tell me if you hear mention of him.
The fella can't hear himself think with all this racket. Day and night she hollers after that child. Yeah, that Farah. You gotta cut that out. What's happened to you?
He hasn't changed a bit. Always late. Mummy's right here. Where are you?
Known her all my life. Her little girl Irma, too. Farah was a straight-shooting woman in those days. But now she's madder than a cuckoo and twice as loud. What else do you call hollering after a ghost? That child of hers she's shouting after's been dead and buried a month over. Killed by a voidwoken back in our own village. Never even stepped foot in Fort Joy. And there ain't no amount of hollering that'll bring her back.
Please, please, you must help me. No one here will help me. Not one of these bastards. A child is missing. My baby. Irma. She's called Irma. I haven't seen her in days. I'm sick with worry. Completely sick. And no one in this damn camp will lift a finger to help me find her. I last saw her just here, near 3 days ago. She was playing with her little doll, and I was washing out her tunic. I turned from her for one moment, and she was gone. Left her doll behind, too. It's so unlike her. Yes, of course. Here, you should take it with you. When you find her, give her the doll and tell her, Mummy says this is for her little chicken. and it's time to come home. That's what I call her, my little chicken.
She soaks up a steady stream of tears with her shirt sleeve.
She ought to come with you then. She ought to follow you back to me. This place turns people cold, cold and wicked. That fellow Jeth over there speaks unutterable evil, but I can't move away from him. What if Irma comes back and I'm not here? You are an angel. Truly you are.
I can't wait all day.
Irma! Irma!
I don't think I ain't
Shh! Bishop Alexander and the Hammer are here. They're here!
Exactly. Didn't I?
The guard's eyebrows furrow, and he makes a small motion with his head, suggesting you get out of the way. Now.
Please. Come on, Lexi. Pay up.
This is not your business, Long Pig.
Don't let this moss muncher talk to you like that. Especially a cheapskate like this one. Griff already knows she don't like to pay her fair share.
An intense-looking man steps between the thug and the elf and rolls up his sleeves, revealing well-muscled and heavily scarred arms.
Just stand aside, won't you, mate? This is no business of yours.
Lone wolves decide their own business.
The thug freezes in fear for a moment, before shuffling back to the protection of his crony.
Pay up, elf. No one shorts Griff. Especially not one of you. Everyone in camp's got to contribute. For food, for protection, no exceptions. Especially not for elves. Griff's orders.
Food? Protection? I have neither.
I ain't gonna say it again. Pay what you owe.
No, never.
If you want her, you'll have to get through me first.
You elves always want to do it the hard way, don't you?
The man rolls his sleeves back down and casually wipes some blood from his cheek. He nods at you, the shadow of a smile.
Could have used some help back there, I'll tell you that. But all's well that ends well.
He stretches out one rough hand to shake yours. He grips your hand tight.
Good to meet you, lad. Say, you don't look all that busy. I could use someone to watch my back, and it looks like you could use someone to watch yours. I've just got a small errand to run. And then I'll be looking to get the hell out of here, while I've still got a neck to collar. How about we stick together until we get out of this place? The usual way. Haphazard, terrifying, and drenched in blood. Haven't quite worked out the details yet, but I'll wager it'll be no worse than what'll happen if we stay put. 2 heads are better than 1, and when push comes to shove, 4 fists are better than 2, right?
He grins, sharp teeth glittering in the midday sun.
So, before we hit the road, it's best if we decide battle strategies up front. Should keep more of our blood in. Survival's my main priority. I'll use every trick in the book to keep us alive. But if a wayfarer's not what you're after, I've got other skills. What do you need? Can do. Onwards.
He scans the horizon.
Right you are. Lead the way.
You there. You've just arrived, isn't that right? Are you quite alone? It's just, I've a proposition. Something very worth knowing. But it's hardly a group affair. I only need one. In that case, listen up. You must think me mad to approach a stranger, but this camp is full of cowards and I'm running out of time. Fast. Too fast. Way too fast. You would be too if you'd been here as long as I have. In fact, you should be nervous if you're here at all. I know what they have planned for. I've been here a long time. Longer than anyone else. People get taken sometimes. Some folks say they get cured. I don't know if I believe it, and I don't want to wait and find out. I have a way out of here. It won't be easy, and I need a partner. Just one. Are you interested? Your loss, my friend. Your very great loss.
The woman is scrabbling at her throat, as though she can hardly breathe.
Don't touch me. You're too close. This collar, this place, it's squeezing the life from me. I can't. I can barely even catch my breath. How is it possible? 1 minute you're in the garden in the sun, the next you're here, and they've put this thing around your neck.
Her hands move again to her throat. She seems to try to make space between her neck and the collar, but there's no space to be made.
Right hand, my winker. Fellas,
The woman is scrabbling at her throat, as though she can hardly breathe. As she catches sight of you, recognition flashes in her terrified eyes. She drops her hands from her throat and starts...
Ben Mist! Ethan! Ben Mist! You killed them! You killed them! He killed them all! Murderer! Keep him away from me! Help! Somebody! Keep him away!
What of it? Yeah, what of it?
Ah, grab it in, you gobblers, the both of you!
Don't like the game, Topsy, you can revolt.
Easy now, high chance. It isn't my fault she's there.
Ho ho! Ain't come to shake me down for my knickers, have you? You're all I got left after your buddies were through with me. That's so. Huh. You look just like them. But then again, I never was the best at telling your kind apart. No harm intended, of course. Oh, 10 bottles of mead, oh. I won't say it again. 1,000 bottles of dust. 50 bottles of tears, oh.
The lizard's brow knits together, then apart, and back again. He seems to be swimming deep in his thoughts, and doesn't look up as you approach.
Keep my name out of your mouth, Outbound.
Please, excuse us.
You're talking to me, not him, Sam.
Oh, for the love of Lucian, Balladeer. You're acting like a madman.
Say it again. What you said about my wife. Go on. Go on, Sam.
Well, it's the truth, and you know it. She's better off. So what if it was messy? I'd rather puke myself to death 1,000 times than let the Reds get to me. If she were my wife, I'd be happy for her.
A flat smile twitches across Balladeer's lips.
She never did like you.
The man looks for a moment at the corpse at his feet, then turns back toward the nearly finished coffin, bloodied hammer in hand.
Murder's a big word. And no, this here's a bed for someone 1,000 times better than that snake. Rest her soul.
He lines up another nail and hammers it into the panel.
Bastard.
Ha! I found you, didn't I? Red, they said. Red, then dead. Not an attempt, mate. Not if I can bloody help it. Time's up, Your Highness. Let's dance. It's stabbing time.